Christian Cage was on Talk as Jericho this week, doing the same basic interview that he had with Renee Young that we had covered in previous episodes here, on why he's going to AEW and all that other shit, what he's looking to do, his goals, blah, 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 blah. But in this interview here, Christian actually went into more detail about what it was like to make the deal happen with Tony Khan, what he thinks of Tony Khan. Jericho chimed in there as well, and they kind of just weighed in on what it's like working for and with Tony Khan. Here's what they had to say about it. Check out this clip.
I'd had some talks with WWE and things like that, and there was nothing really solidified as far as, there were some things batted around us creatively and things like that, but nothing set in stone.
Is it with Carano you're talking to? Or
no, just different people.
Writers or whatever?
Yeah. No, I talked to Bruce quite a bit.
Gotcha.
And things like that. And I did have some conversations with Carano towards the end, and very cordial. Everything is fine. And I was sitting, after having that conversation with John, I was sitting here the next day just kind of taking it in. I just texted him. I was like, "You're right." I said, "Tell Tony if he wants to talk, I'd love to have a conversation with him." And an hour later, Tony texted me, and the next day we connected, and we talked for 2 hours. And during that call, he talked to me and told me all the things that he thought that I could bring to the table and how I could help this show, this company. And I was telling him the things that I thought that I could bring to the table. And the thing that I took away the most, more than anything, is that he's a genuinely good person.
Yes.
And I appreciated that so much. Mm-hmm. And that goes a long way with me. So more than anything, he sold me on him as a person. I'd met him I'd met him years previous through Chris Nowinski. We had a dinner one night and hung out for 3-4 hours. And
that was that same guy.
Yeah, but he was talking to me about things about my career that I don't even remember. This guy's an encyclopedia of wrestling. He knows his shit. And so we talked, and then he's like, "Well, give it a couple days, and then we'll kind of reconnect." And then, so we did that. And then we talked again. I can't remember what day of the week that was, but then we talked again on a Saturday in the afternoon. We had a chat. And then I'll email you something a little bit later. And I was like, okay. And then midnight, I'm about to get in bed. Midnight, my phone rings and it's Tony. And I answer. And he's like, "Hey man, you want to just talk and I want you here. Do you want to be here?" I was like, "Yeah, I do."
Yeah.
And he's like, "Let's just get something done then." And we sat there right there on the phone and
hammered it out
and went to bed, and it was done.
Yeah.
So,
you know what I like about Tony, and cause same thing when I first met him, 2.5 years ago now, whatever it was. He's like, "Yeah, I met you here. You're like, "Oh yeah, I vaguely remember that." But the thing about him is that not only is he an encyclopedia, he's very smart about wrestling. He also does this for a living, put together teams.
Right.
He did it with Jacksonville. Obviously, he's not the be all end all, but he has a lot of say in it. He put together the entire roster of the Fulham Football Club that went from the minor league to the Premier League, which made hundreds of millions of dollars. Putting together the AEW roster, he has a great crew of, like any great football team or hockey team, veterans, veterans that have won Stanley Cups and have been there. He's got the guys that are scoring 50 goals a year at the peak of their career. He's got the guys just underneath that are ready. He's got the rookies, and he's got the great minor league system ready to pull guys. He's really built that well. And when people originally would say, "Oh, he's just a money marker," he's not that at all.
He's not a pushover at all.
He's not a pushover.
If you sit and have a conversation with this guy, with Tony, he'll tell you exactly what he wants.
Yeah.
And you can have a conversation with him, but at the end of the day, the decision's his.
Mm-hmm.
So...
And I like that because, we come from a place where it's the same, where Vince is the boss, what he says goes, and that's all that matters. They're completely different types of bosses,
right?
But the leadership is the same. There's no arguing.
Right.
If Tony likes it, let's do it. If he doesn't, think of something else.
Right.
A wrestling company needs that.
Yeah.
And I think originally in AEW, when the mindset was more of like, it's going to be the EVPs and all this stuff, it was kind of watered down a bit. And all the guys will tell you, "Hey, we'd rather have Tony as the boss. Then you don't have to worry about it."
Right.
What his vision is goes.
Yeah. Yeah. And like I said, I just liked him as a person from that first conversation. And I knew that I liked him from the years when we had met before, but obviously it's a different situation now. This guy's potentially going to be my boss, but there needed to be the right fit for me at this point in time. And I felt that I honestly felt AEW was the best fit for me.
So both of them were quick to say that Tony Khan's not a money mark. Everybody claims that Tony Khan's a big money mark. just a nerdy wrestling internet fan that just happens to have a dad that's a bajillionaire. So when your dad's a bajillionaire, he can throw you a few $1,000,000 to start a little piss ant wrestling company. And the guy is literally playing with real life action figures. Essentially, he's running a multi-million-dollar fig fed. And, he's doing great. So that's one way to look at it. Tony Khan, the money mark, running a multi-million-dollar fig fed. But on the other hand, you got all these guys saying no. He's not a money mark. He's not a pushover. If he wants something a certain way, that's the way it's going to be. If he doesn't like something, then it's not going to happen. Jericho said at first it was a little more loose, where the EVPs had more control and everything was just kind of run independently, and different groups and factions would get together and put this together and put that together. And as it turned out, it was just a little bit sloppy. And Tony Khan's talked about that before too. He had really loose reins on everything when they first started out. But he kind of sat back and watched a lot of the shows, and as the ratings, they had a big ratings dip there for a little bit, where they're actually starting to lose to NXT for a little while. And that's kind of the point where Tony Khan sat back and decided, okay, I think I'm going to kind of tighten things up around here a little bit more and be a little bit more hands-on, or be a little bit more willing to say no and less willing to say, yeah, sure, let's try it. But he still gives all the guys the creative freedom to put their own stuff together. He's just a little bit more hands-on as far as, no, I don't like that idea, or maybe we should tweak it, or, but both guys had a lot of good things to say about Tony. Both guys seem to have a lot of respect for Tony. It is contrary to other things you hear about him, but it's usually from the haters. The haters are the ones that call him a money mark. The haters are the ones that think that he's just, using daddy's money to buy up all the WWE guys and run his little fed and all that shit. But at the end of the day, you got these veterans that have worked with Vince McMahon and in the WWE system. That's a professional system. You've heard it said from guys that came over from WCW. It's like night and day. They get to Jericho's said it. I got to WWE and I was just blown away. It's such a different company. So AEW is not run that way, but for guys that have spent their whole career in WWE, able to say, yeah, Tony Khan's legit and I respect him and I'm happy and proud to work for him, that goes a long way. And yes, that comes with a paycheck. And yes, you're not going to go on the internet and say, yeah, my boss is just kind of a money mark. But, it's not just when he's asked or cornered that he just kind of makes something up. Like, Jericho goes out of his way on a regular basis to put Tony over. And Christian did here too. So at a certain point, you got to kind of sit back and give the man a little bit of credit and know that it's a new company and he's learning along the way and he's much younger and inexperienced and all of that stuff. But, he's doing good and he's taking the bull by the horns and making shit happen. I recommend checking out this interview just to kind of hear more details about Tony Khan, or if you missed any kind of previous interviews that Christian had done talking about his new foray, or is that a word? Foray into AEW in this next chapter of his career. Great shit. Check it out. Hey, thanks for checking out that clip. Don't forget to check out other clips here on the channel. And while you're there, throw a like, throw a subscribe. And don't forget to check out full episodes each and every Sunday of the Pro Wrestling Podcast.